Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
2024. And at HMP Fossway, the world's most high-tech prison, located in Leicester, England, inmate 21-year-old Thierry Robinson has just exited his cell after...
What is this? This is a jail? First of all, did he just walk down the hallway with a robe on?
And at HMP Fossway...
This is a prison? With freshly mopped hardwood floors and freshly painted walls.
It's the morning of August 20...
He's got on Nike socks and a robe like he's at the spa. Smiling like life's good. Like he's living better than me right now.
20th, 2024. And at HMP Fossway, the world's most high-tech prison, located in Leicester, England, inmate 21-year-old Thierry Robinson has just exited his cell after being let out for the day. He's captured here on CCTV with a huge grin on his face, heading over to his neighbour, 18-year-old Ashiri Smith. After waiting for him momentarily, the pair walk down the block and head over to the other side to a cell belonging to convicted paedophile Mahir Mohammed. When they re-emerge, there's no sign of Mahir. Now, one might take a look at this and think there's nothing wrong. However, ladies and gentlemen, something serious just went down in Mahir's cell. And if you hadn't guessed it by now, Thierry Robinson and Ashiri Smith had just murdered a paedophile. If you're wondering why HMP Fossway looks more like...
But I'm not mad at him, no. You in there because you was touching on little kids. So I don't see nothing wrong with that. If anything, shit, we should pardon them.
Like a hotel than a prison.
Free.
That's because it's classified as Cat C. Prisons in the United Kingdom are ranked in categories. A being the most secure, home to some of the country's most dangerous people, all the way through to Category D, which is essentially a big home that prisoners have to live in, instead of going to their actual residence. In a Cat D prison, some of the inmates are allowed to leave to go to work or study, and then return. If they prove that they can do that over a period, they're even allowed to spend multiple days out of the prison and stay overnight at an approved address, say with a girlfriend for example. HMP Fossway isn't quite that. Again, it's a Cat C resettlement prison. In other words, it's a highly secured facility that's designed to prepare inmates for reintegration into society without leaving. It offers certain amenities such as access to a gym facility, five-a-side football pitches, a music studio, computers within the cell, and even offers educational workshops in various
music
sectors.
Studio? We letting these
that's why some of you may think
mixtapes?
it looks like a hotel. I mean, to be fair, you wouldn't be by yourself in thinking that way, because when it first opened back in 2023, the prison made headlines for exactly that. Online critics compared it to a luxury hotel. They said, at the bare minimum, it was better than student accommodation. Over the past couple of years, HMP Fossway has gone viral for both positive and negative reasons. On the one hand, you had YouTuber Mr. Who's the Boss dub it the world's highest tech prison, while on the other hand, you had inmates within the prison filming TikTok videos complaining that sex offenders were being put on certain wings where they'd be able to see women and children who were visiting the facility.
This is HMP Fossway. We're on E block at the minute, and we're looking over to F block and the car park. Now, the jail wants to put the nonces on E and F wing, so when people's visitors and children come to visit people, they can see the car park and they'll be stood at the windows doing nasty things to the people's visitors. We want to protest about this. And the visits go straight in where you can see now.
Yeah, whispering in the back.
It's not good because, like I say, this E and F block look over the car park, and we don't want them. Our kids, it's not fair. They should not get this block and where they can see public human people coming in.
I feel that though.
It's an outrage.
I feel it.
It needs a petition that we.
Yeah, that's fucking gross.
They can have A and B block. And people's families that come into the jail, we need to get them to petition as well and protest against them because
this nigga. Bro, whoever you are, you might as well tell us what he's trying to tell us. We hear you whispering as the prompter trying to tell him what to repeat and shout out. You might as well just tell us, gang. It's okay. Don't be shy.
You can't be on the outside fence looking at all the kids and the people coming in. It's not fair. And we're on E Block, HMP Fossway, Nonce Palace.
Did this nigga just go brrr? Did this nigga just go?
It's the Pedo coming in. It's not fair. And we're on E Block, HMP Fossway, Nonce Palace. It's the Pedo Palace of England, and they want it to make it so they can see us kids from the fence. It's not happening. Please watch this video and please protest against it. Put a petition against it. These nonsense cannot come to the fence.
All that.
One of the sex offenders who was mixed in with the inmates was 31-year-old Mahir Mohammed. His image bizarrely hasn't been published, and there's only a small section in the news as to why he even ended up in HMP Fossway to begin with. Mr. Mohammed had been jailed for an online conversation with a girl whom he thought was in her early teens. The girl was a decoy set up to snare pedophiles. The vigilante group behind the snare reported him to the police, and he ended up being jailed at HMP Fossway. For that conviction, he was handed a 35-week prison sentence and was due to be released on August 21st, 2024. So yeah, Mahir had been caught by an online sting group and had landed himself in jail. We don't know what his time was like in the jail for the most part, but according to a report, his life had been made a literal living hell in the few weeks leading up to his release. This would have been around the time he crossed paths with his killers, Ashiri and Thierry. Those two, by the way, are infamous in their own right. Yes, this story takes a whole other turn when we come to find out that one of them is a relatively famous and successful UK drill rapper, and the other made national headlines for being extremely brazen with a firearm. Thierry, known by his alias Trills, has been making music for some years. His videos have racked up millions of views. However, he wasn't just a rapper, he was also a drug dealer, and that's how he ended up in HMP Fossway for 5.5 years. It was the circumstances surrounding Ashiri's arrest back in late 2023 that made news outlets from across the country pick up on his story. He had videoed himself dancing with a loaded gun. For that, he was jailed for 3.5 years in April of 2000.
He got jailed just for this, making a fucking TikTok with a weapon. This is what I'm saying. I never understood that. The streets and the hood niggas is just, they different now. Like, growing up, niggas that I knew, that I grew up around would never do no shit like this. This is the exact opposite of what you would want to do. If I'm in the streets and I'm selling drugs, I'm riding around with firearms and whoop-de-whoop and whoop-de-whoop, why in the fuck would I want to show my face on any social media platform? Not only that, with a weapon that I've used in drills and to shoot at people, maybe murder people possibly. I just don't. All of that to get likes and followers and views.
In 24, HMP Fossway was where he was going to call home while serving his sentence.
Like, why? This is lame. Like, why are we posting blicks on the internet?
Come in. Anthony! It's Gary Smith! Come to the front door now! With nothing in your hand! Secure! Right, this way. Right, what's your name? Last anywhere. You step out of here.
Same gun. Nigga.
Appears to be a Walther self-loading pistol made in Germany. Appears to be a 9mm with a 19 round capacity.
Once Mahir had crossed paths with the pair, they subjected him to weeks of verbal taunts and physical attacks due to the nature of his offending. On August 19th, 2024...
Yeah, bro, I don't feel bad for that. I don't feel bad for no 31-year-old nigga talking to little kids on the internet and then him getting murdered in there. I don't care. You don't do that. And I guarantee you this nigga probably had kids too. Them be the ones. How do you do that? How do you look at a child and go, ooh, that's attractive? To do that, you need to be poked up. He deserves that. The fuck? Nigga was damn whoever he spoke to, he was damn near twice her age.
Just 2
That's
days
disgusting.
before he was due to be released,
If
Ashiri
not
had
twice
visited
her age.
Mahir's cell on 12 different occasions. While there, he verbally insulted him and physically assaulted him. Towards the end of the day, Mahir threw a kettle filled with boiling water through the gap of his cell door, which hit both Ashiri and Thierry. It was a revenge attack. This had been the first time he retaliated. Given the fact he was due to be released on the 21st, he probably thought he'd have been alright for a day. However, according to a report...
Oh, he's an idiot. So you weren't even getting out that day and you decided to go throw boiling water into their room and you thought that they wasn't gonna poke your ass up in there, and you're in the UK. That's what niggas in the UK are known for. Poking people. That's why I would never, bro. I'm cool. You niggas is no hell, and then you gonna do it and you'll be I'm cool for a day. Why would you think that? You already in there for touching on little kids. So you what?
As the hours went on, he asked to be moved to a different part of the prison as he feared for his life. Reality set in. That move wasn't granted, and well, you know what went down the following morning. At around 7:45 AM on August 20th, 2024, Mahir Mohammed had been found unresponsive in his cell by a female prison officer. He had been repeatedly punched, kicked, and stamped over the course of around 37 seconds. Thierry and Ashiri couldn't appear weak after the kettle attack. It marked Mahir for death. His prediction was correct. He would officially be pronounced dead by paramedics around an hour after the attack. His eventual cause of death was
An hour
a bleed
after?
to the brain. The investigation was swift, the pair were banged to rights.
So
and
it's so sweet in there. You could beat somebody up to death and they can sit in there for an hour and die. And they will. I mean, that can happen anywhere though. Because the COs don't be around. They come in and do their little sweeps or whatever, but it'd be a good amount of time in between that.
Actually, they were charged with murder. They surprisingly denied the charges that were placed against them and went on trial in the spring of 2025. In the end, Ashiri was found guilty of murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment with the minimum term of 17.5 years, whilst Thierry Robinson was found not guilty of murder but was found guilty of manslaughter and received as normal inmates. And while simply put, HMP Fossway, like many other prisons in the United Kingdom, are throwing all inmates in together because we have a prison overcrowding crisis. No, like, literally, within 19 months of HMP Fossway being built, it was 98% full. Both the Conservative and Labour governments have tried to get a grip of the situation, but nothing's really worked. Yes, more prisons are being built, but that takes years, and with a prison population on the rise, it means they just can't keep up. They've got other measures in place as well, like releasing some inmates early. That includes violent sex offenders, by the way, but to no surprise, some people just can't be fixed, and they end up...
So y'all niggas, so why not? Why? So we rather let out the sex offenders, the people who are doing things to women and children. We'll let them back out into society early and comfortably, but we won't let a gangbanger out or a drug dealer out. Why not? There are people with other charges that deserve to get let out. Maybe not even that, but there are other people with other charges that deserve to get let out of prison before a sex offender. What if a person who was trafficking drugs for the first time illegally and they got caught up with it, and why not let them loose? Why not cut them a break? We gonna let this
back in jail a short while later. We've all seen the headlines recently. This further adds to the problem. Regarding sex offenders, Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood announced that the government... We've all seen the headlines recently.
Man freed early from UK prison allegedly assaulted woman on the same day. This is what the fuck I'm saying. I just said that before this even popped up. This is why I said that. So this was a good idea. And like I said, there aren't other people in prison with other charges that who don't have higher seniority than a fucking pedophile? Are we for real? Like, who makes these decisions? The person who's making these decisions has to be a pedophile. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. The person who is making these decisions and creating these laws, they have to be pedophiles. Because that's the only reasonable justification for you letting out somebody who's willing to do something like this over somebody else, and then they do it the same day. And then I'm sure they continue to let other sex offenders out even after this happened. And this isn't the first time. This isn't the only case. It's goofy, bro. And this is in the UK. I thought it was just the US. This is out in the UK. So this isn't just here. This is everywhere. It sucks, man. It sucks.
This further adds to the problem. Regarding sex offenders, Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood announced that the government plans to introduce chemical castration in 20 prisons across England and Wales to help potentially alleviate this problem. According to reports, inmates within these 20 prisons will be asked first to volunteer. It will be a pathway to release. If all goes well and successful, they then plan to roll it out as a mandatory sentence to again help reduce the prison population. So, how does the British government take control of this situation?
What does that mean, though?
If you have any suggestions, I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments section below, because every time I see them offer a solution, another problem always seems to emerge. For example, chemical castration is one thing, but what's the solution for other violent offenders? Because we can't let them out of jail early. That's actually what's going on at the moment. But again, let me know what you guys think. How would you tackle this problem if
they doing it all over again? Then guess what? The prisons are going to continue to become populated and overpopulated, and if not more. So these sex offenders are going to keep getting out. They're going to keep letting them loose. Then they're going to keep going in there for the same crimes. Then they're going to keep getting cut. Get cut early again. It's going to be a repetitive fucking cycle, and they're going to keep doing it. It doesn't make sense. How are we letting a man that 30 dude in this case, 30-something years old, probably talking to somebody right down the middle, half his age. Why are we letting a man that is willing to fucking do that out back onto the street? And then we're seeing that it's happening again as they're getting out on the same day within a matter of hours, and then we still... I don't get it, bro. I'll holler at y'all, man.